This is our NICC Soil Health Grant project for the USDA Applied Research Grant. This is presented by Erica Early and Melody Gossman.
The Soil Health Partnership's goal is to measure and communicate the economic and environmental benefits of different soil management strategies throughout farmers that are involved with the Soil Health Partnership.
The purposes of this study are to identify, test, and measure management practices that improve soil health and benefit farmers' operations. So our part at NICC will be to measure the results of using cover crops on soil nitrogen levels. This study includes the environmental and economic benefits of improving soil health through management techniques, and we will be using rye as our cover crop. This is a direct quote from the Soil Health Project website. We are helping to provide the spark for a greater understanding and more broadly implementing agricultural practices that work best.
The relationship between rye and nitrogen levels. A 250 bushel per acre corn crop removes about 150 pounds of nitrogen with the grain. Most of the nitrogen that's found in the soil is because of bacteria from root systems of legumes. The bacteria thrives off of processing leftover residue on the surface of the soil, and the more bacteria there is, the more residue is broken down and turned into nitrogen.
So when the cover crop is digested by soil microorganisms, they restore organic matter and nutrient levels in the soil. And the more organic matter in the soil is, the better. Over half of the nitrogen that is in the residue left in the fields can be broken down and become available to the plants. From an Iowa study, they found that overseeding rye or a rye and oats mix into soybeans in August limited leaching loss from September to May to less than 5 pounds per acre.
Why winter rye? It's hardy and very inexpensive. It's easy to manage as well. It's cold tolerant and germinates at soil temperatures between 30 and 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which works very well for our region. Its well-developed fibrous root system reduces leaching of soil nitrates and can take up and hold as much as 100 pounds of unused nitrogen until the spring.
The seeding date for rye is September 15th to October 10th for winter cover. Early plantings recover more nutrients and build soil better, so the earlier the better. By October 15th, it needs to be planted by October 15th for spring cover, but it will not have value as a winter cover. Rye has a very good ground cover. It reduces erosion, suppresses weeds, and improves soil drainage, and it also adds organic matter. It will increase potassium exchange by bringing it up from the lower soil profile for exchange.
The field that we use for our plot is 23 acres. Each plot ranges from 1.5 to 2.09 acres.
This map shows the nitrogen treatment. The levels are shown by a color scale, 0 being red and dark green being 125%.
Rye was planted in late September. This is the third year of utilizing a cover crop on this land. And in the picture you can see where inlet work was done after the cover crop was planted.
The entire plot was burned down with Roundup on April 20th.
NICC also practices a no-till system. They plant corn on corn as their rotation, and this plot year it was planted on June 1st.
These charts are showing the application of manure and side dressing.
The soil sample points. These are soil samples that were taken on April 12th of 2017 of each plot.
The green dots show the sample points. These maps are showing the phosphorus levels in the soil. The map on the left is 0 to 2 inches, and the map on the right is 2 to 6 inches, with red being high phosphorus levels and green being low phosphorus levels.
These maps are showing potassium levels. The left, again, is 0 to 2 inches. The right is 2 to 6 inches. High being red and green being low.
These maps are showing your pH levels of the soil. the red is high and the low is green, and the left is again 0 to 2 and the right is 2 to 6.
These were the soil health test results. On the left you can see organic matter content, potassium content, different micronutrient contents in the soil from 0 to 2 inches, and on the right you can see the soil texture and other parts of the soil.
These maps are showing the nitrogen rate. It is shown on a scale from 0% being red and dark green being 125% rate. And on the right is our average yield. Red being our lowest yielding areas with 171 yield, and green being higher yielding at 216.
Okay, this slide is showing our yield map again, but from a different aspect as you look at it. What we've done here is we've actually taken each individual yield data point and then interpolated it from those individual points. And you can see there's even variety as you go through each of the individual plots, anywhere from a low of 8 bushels per acre all the way up to 450 bushels per acre. And none of those individual points are obviously realistic, but as we average them together, you can see some trends starting to show up here as you compare it to the nitrogen. This is a normalized differential vegetative index photo that was taken by the Soil Health Partnership on July 29th. The green areas are showing the healthy areas, and the lighter green areas are showing the stressed areas. And you can see there in a kind of the north central part of the plot, there is that area that gets 0 nitrogen that is showing some stress even at this point. The red areas are where we do not have corn planted. So this here is a shot that was taken by our own drone that we obtained here at the college. We didn't obtain the drone until early fall, so this was done in mid-October. Again, you can see some stress there, and the redder areas and the greener areas are some healthier areas. Mid-October, obviously, the crop is already starting to brown up and show stress just from being mature. This is something we plan on to continue in the coming years with our plot, trying to take drone videos and the NDI vegetative index at least once a month, if not more often, during the growing season. So this is an ongoing thing as we work with our project. This is another benefit that we've had with our Soil Health Partnership. They ran a business analysis on our plot, and these numbers are provided mainly for illustrative purposes at this point. As we look at it, not all the data was imported, inputted as we would like it, as accurately as we would like it, but it does give us a general guideline of the healthier and more productive parts of the plot and the less productive parts of the plot. It does bring in a whole other aspect of crop management as we continue to advance our technology and information here, and that maybe there are some areas in that plot that are just not worth farming. I mean, if you're losing $300 per acre, that's more than your land rent. You could just let the rent sit and lose $100, $200 per acre on land rent versus $300 by adding more seed and fertilizer in there. And sometimes maybe we're better off seeding some grass in some of these areas, but it's something that needs more analysis, more work, and more possibilities as we go into the future in managing our crops. This is the Soil Health Partnership, a map of the Soil Health Partnership and all the cooperating producers. We're the green dot up in the northeast Iowa area. We're one of the few that are doing nutrient management. Most of the trials are cover crop and no cover crop trials, and there are a few tillage trials going out there too. A lot of good information coming out of this partnership from all of these cooperating producers. And then our last slide. So as we watch the last part of our presentation here today, this is a drone flyover done about midsummer of the plot. This is not a vegetative index photo by any means, just general color photo, and you can see even from a color photo from a drone here that there are some areas that are a little weaker and a little stronger. Vegetative index actually brings it out a little bit stronger. And there's some skips in the area where didn't get planted, and some other areas that are problems. You can see the terraces going through there. So this really brings home the fact that this is an applied research project using a realistic farm situation here. A lot of things are not under our control and is throwing off some of what's going on with the plot, but that's true to what's going on out there in the real operation, and that's one of the things we're trying to work with our students and demonstrate as we work with this project.